In this One Piece special, maybe instead of sea creatures, the gods should have created their beasts as giant wolves with machine guns on their shoulders.
This is the intro song to the podcast King of the What Now. Join us as we go on a journey, going to talk about pirates, battle and adventure. We think we're pretty funny, we hope you will too. Luffy, he's gotta be the king of something. We weren't really listening, sorry about that. Hopefully he'll achieve his dreams, yeah.
Hello, fellow adventurers of the Grand Line, and welcome to episode 25 of King of the What Now. We're here to discuss the anime One Piece. I'm Joel, longtime fan, also one of 3 sacred beasts of the god that protect the treasure that may or may not actually exist. Who knows?
And I'm Curtis, a laughing bat that just follows you around everywhere with absolutely no motivation whatsoever.
Right, don't question the bat that's helping you through the dungeon in the video game.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we just finished watching the first One Piece special. It gets kind of confusing because there's different things that count as... So there was a Defeat the Pirate Gamzak, which technically wasn't a special, I guess. That was an OVA, an original video animation. And then we've also seen the first One Piece movie, and this is a third category, and I don't know exactly what the differentiation is. But the important thing is we've now traveled into the ocean's navel, and that sounds so wonderful to say out loud.
Indeed.
Okay. And as always, we need to summarize the episode, and this time I might be a little less hard on an in-depth summary, because I don't think that a lot of people have seen this, as opposed to episodes that are readily available on Hulu or Funimation or that sort of thing.
Yeah, we had our own little adventure trying to figure out how to watch this episode, so that was fun. We spent a good hour trying to figure that part out. But...
Yeah, and the new sound equipment, which we actually can't use at this time, and it's wonderful.
Well, yeah, great morning so far. Okay, so this episode. So we start off and... Well, do we want to start with the prologue or the just jump in where the Straw Hat Pirates come in?
The prologue is, there was a guy, he was looking for some treasure, he was betrayed by his crewmates.
Yes.
He had a gun for a hand.
It wasn't actually for a hand, but yeah.
It looked like he carried it everywhere he went, and the first shot of him was so zoomed out that you just saw his arm and then the barrel of the gun. So I really did think that he was missing the wrist and he had replaced it with a gun.
Barrels, actually. It's like,
oh, that's right.
It's like a circle of like 10 or something barrels.
Like a Gatling gun or something.
It's pretty cool, actually.
Also, gun hand is the obvious escalation from axe hand. So eventually we might get to someone who has maybe like an octopus for a hand? Or an entire ship for a hand?
Okay, wait. So, axe, gun,
octopus.
Not cannon, not rocket launcher, octopus is the next level.
They're very intelligent, and they can squeeze into tight spaces, and there's all those tentacles and such, and you can squirt ink at people.
Okay, Joel.
So,
all right, so it's the episode, yeah. Joel explained the prologue, and so we start off with the Straw Hat crew, just kind of hanging out on the ship. They find a treasure chest, which Luffy's like, I can't eat this, and throws it into the water. And Nami's like, wait, don't get rid of the treasure. So she goes and grabs the treasure chest, and inside is a skull with a message on it that says, inside the ocean's navel is... like a treasure that'll grant you your...
it'll make your dreams come true. Yeah. Which immediately, if I got an advertisement for this one product will change your life, they fell for clickbait. They fell for the pirate era's version of clickbait.
Well, you can't blame them. It's not prevalent yet.
Okay.
They haven't built up their defense mechanisms. I mean, I still fall for clickbait.
Okay. And also, the message on the back of the skull was signed Captain Joke, which is a great name it's a memorable name for a character we'll never see again.
Yeah, and I still have a question about that, which we can get to when we get to that part of the summary.
Okay.
So anyways, where they find this treasure chest, it is it's near a giant hole in the ocean where the water just kind of falls down. And at the bottom of this hole is an island with a mountain and a little village on it. So they decide they're going to go try to explore it safely initially. They put Nami, Usopp, and Sanji into like a submersible, like it's a barrel basically.
But
with
they've
an
converted it.
Yeah, and it has an air supply in that on a hose that goes up this rope.
And they're playing a game of telephone. You can speak into a speaker in the barrel, and Luffy on the ship will hear you, and Luffy can talk back, and they'll hear him in the barrel.
Yeah, and it's just like a tube sort of thing.
Exactly.
Because later Luffy ties it because he doesn't understand how it works. It's like, oh, were they trying to say something? So they are lowering the barrel down. They put it in the water. Eventually they get, they're not in the water anymore. They're just hanging in the air. And when they get to the bottom, there's a giant octopus that attacks them. And they start yelling up, Luffy, pull us back up. But Luffy is having antics up above, doesn't pay attention, eventually ties the knot or on the speaking tube so he can't hear them. And what ends up happening is I believe the octopus gets a hold of them and pulls the whole ship down because the barrel is tied to the ship, right?
Yep.
Which before was lodged on a rock and now is no longer lodged on the rock. So it falls into the ocean's navel.
And now Luffy and Zoro are also running amok on the island, though they didn't land with the other three.
Yeah. So the ship falls on top of the octopus and defeats it.
All according to Keikaku.
Yes. Like you said, Luffy and Zoro, they are elsewhere on the island, and they meet two characters, Hamu and a woman whose name I've forgotten.
I don't remember if she gave her name.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Really quick fun fact that you can't pick up on because two of the voice actors in this special are voice actors that show up later in the series as special characters. I will try to remember when they're introduced in the series properly. I will say, hey, do you remember that Ocean's Naval story? This was the one who voiced the kind of older sister type character, and this is the one who voiced Captain Joke.
To which I'll say, sure, if you say so, Joel.
Okay, so they meet these two people who are not siblings, but they have kind of a big sister, little brother relationship.
Yeah. Basically, the Hamu's mother was killed by pirates because, of course she was. And the woman took in. I'm just gonna call him Ham. Hamu
Okay.
Hard to, I don't know why Hamu. It's one too many syllables, Joel.
All right.
So took in Ham as a just to take care of him, right?
Yeah.
Because this was like 10 years ago, and it looked like he was really young at the time.
Well, and I would say really quick to jump in, the reason that it's important that his mom got killed is because Captain Joke showed up. He wanted this treasure. They warned him against it, maybe, or maybe they didn't. But when he went to go get it, he unleashed these three beasts that apparently can't differentiate between good people and bad people. Joke was probably killed. It's weird because the older sister seems to be like, I don't care what happened to him, but she also seems to know what happened. I don't.
Yeah.
Anyways, so these three beasts are running around, and that giant octopus was one of them.
Yeah.
And we've also now seen a giant crawfish that Zoro injured but hasn't been defeated. But that's basically the bad guy sort of this series, of this episode, is these giant monsters that are impossible to kill unless you're superhuman like Sanji, Luffy, or Zoro.
Yeah, exactly. And I also forgot to mention when the octopus died, we got a shot of a skeleton that was inside of at the top of the mountain. It's like
in
a
the cavern
shrine.
where the treasure is
Yeah.
supposed to be. Mm-hmm.
And it was missing a hand before, and its hand reappears, right? Mm-hmm. Its hand and maybe a leg. I'm a little confused if the leg was there or not. It doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, but not really that much. Yeah, so Luffy and Zoro are now with the two islanders. And meanwhile, I think Sanji is taking a nap or something. No,
He got
can't
hurt
move.
by the octopus, so he's taking a little break.
Yeah, so then, I almost said Luffy again. Usopp and Nami start heading to the mountain, I think, and they at some point they run into a bat that is talking and laughing. The bat tells them, "Hey, I know where the treasure is. You have to defeat these beasts, and I will show you where they are and show you how to do it." And they're like, okay, cool. So they start heading to the mountain. Meanwhile, Luffy and Zoro go and they continue to fight this. Well, no, Luffy doesn't fight it. They also head towards the mountain, and the crawdad comes after him. Zoro because he tried to fight him earlier and didn't kill him yet, decides, I'm going to fight him and defeat him.
He's getting all that XP for himself. He's like,
Yeah.
Luffy's level 12, I'm level 11, I gotta catch up.
Yeah, exactly. So Luffy goes on ahead. Zoro fights him using the many swords around the I'm guessing they're left over from when the pirates came in.
Yeah, they're old and rusty, and so every time he uses them, they break. So he essentially is doing a battle where he's attacking, and then every time he runs out, he yells, reload, and the girl throws him another pair of swords.
Yeah. I guess I'll finish up with that fight first. So they keep fighting, right? And then I think Sanji finally comes in at the end and delivers the finishing blow. And then also tries to take the girl, and then Zoro's like, hey, don't do that. I put in all this hard work.
Zoro specifically says don't take the best part or something like that, or don't steal all the good parts, so I guess he does express interest in women. I would say in the main series we haven't seen that from him explicitly.
Yeah.
So you can play a little hard and fast in the specials with how the characters kind of act.
I kind of get the feeling that that's probably a typical dynamic between Zoro and Sanji.
Sure.
That they compete both in terms of fighting and also for women in that. Anyways, so Luffy is heading up to the mountain. Obviously, Nami and Usopp, because they had a head start, they get there first, and they start getting chased by a large sea urchin, which is the third beast, through what's basically like a labyrinth.
Yeah, and Nami was going to be able to navigate it no problem because there was literally a map of the labyrinth outside, and she goes, okay, I memorized it perfect. But then as they're trying to turn a corner, Luffy is running in, and he knocks them off course, and now they don't know where they are. And so her memorization of the map was useless because she got disoriented.
Yeah. And also, Ham was running up the mountain too. I'm not entirely sure why he was going up there.
Who, the kid?
Yeah.
The kid wanted revenge for his mom, or he wanted to kill the beasts because they were harassing the village. And basically Luffy said, you're an idiot for looking for friends to help you on this mission, which is kind of weird because we know that Luffy likes friends. But the entire time Luffy's going up the mountain, every time he sees the kid out of the corner of his eye, he pretends not to see the kid and goes, I'm running on ahead! I'm gonna do it with all my strength! And the kid is basically following to see, is this guy for real? What's his deal? What's going on?
Oh, okay.
But Luffy secretly, not very secretly, is trying to encourage the kid to pursue his own dreams rather than just rely on other people.
Yeah. So, I guess the long and the short of it is that we end up with Nami, Usopp, Luffy, and Ham all together, and they get cornered by the sea urchin.
Mm-hmm. Dead end, and you have to go through it. Yep.
And I should just because it's somewhat important, the sea urchin is just like a ball with all these spikes coming out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of uses the spikes to move around. So it starts charging at them, and then Luffy stops it by stretching out and like kind of making like
catching it like a net kind of thing almost.
Which was a little weird because he's supposed to be susceptible to stabs and that, right? Yep. And it was very obviously that the pokey parts seemed sharp. So we're not sure why he didn't get stabbed.
I figured it out. All right. I searched my brain. I tried to, and here's what happened. This is non-canon. All specials and movies, for the most part, are considered non-canon. So what that means is that this is actually a parallel universe where Luffy's made out of a different type of rubber, where he's only immune to scissors that can cut him, but piercing just a single point doesn't do anything.
Okay.
If there had been two of them and they'd sandwich him, he would have died, but this alternate Luffy is fine.
It's good for alternate Luffy. Yeah, I mean, that could have been bad otherwise.
Exactly.
So anyways, they get around him, and then Luffy starts breaking the spikes off of it. So Luffy gets stuck behind. He's breaking spikes off of the sea urchin, and then Nami, Usopp, and Ham continue onward to the center of the mountain, where they see where the treasure's at. They start heading up there to take the treasure, and the bat that I forgot about is still following them. It's like, wait, no, you have to go kill the last beast. And I should mention too, when the crawdad got defeated, that more limbs showed up on the skeleton that was sitting there. And he obviously at this point you're like, okay, he needs all the monsters defeated so he can complete this body. So they're like, well, no, I'm just gonna go up and take the treasure. right around then, the sea urchin comes back, but it's missing most of the spikes now, and Luffy breaks the last one off, which apparently kills it. Because I guess its soul is stored in the spikes or something.
I mean, obviously, the soul of humans is contained in the left ear, as we all know.
Yeah.
And dogs, it's in the right hind leg. And on sea urchins, obviously the spikes.
Yeah, that's why Van Gogh, he became a soulless monster after he lost his ear. I don't know which ear that was, but I'm assuming it's the ear that had his soul in it. Yeah, so they kill the last one. The last of the limbs show up on the skeleton. It still has no head, but the last limb also has the gun. So we know now it's Captain Joke for sure. Well, I mean, we kind of knew, but also the bat had the same earring as
Captain Joke in the flashback. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the bat dissolves and the skeleton starts moving. Right around then, I think Usopp dropped the skull that had the message on it before.
Well, they were running up the stairs to get to the treasure. They were so excited, and they ignored the skeleton because there have been so many skeletons. The gun shoots them in the back, and he drops the skull.
That's right.
Then he puts on the skull, and he goes, "It was me, Captain Joke."
Yeah, exactly. Which I want to come back to that. Let me finish the summary first. So the Captain Skull is like, "Oh yeah, I'm back together now, and I'm just a skeleton, but I still have my whole skeleton body." Mm-hmm. He climbs up the stairs. He's gonna go take the treasure.
Luffy's also taking a nap at this point. I guess breaking the spikes it took a lot out of him, so he's not getting up to protect his crew after they were attacked.
Yeah, and then Nami and Usopp are both down because they got shot in the back. Mm-hmm. Though it looks like it didn't really, in typical anime fashion, there's no bullet holes or anything. They're just kind of like, oh, then their back's kind of scorched. Mm. So Captain Joke is going up the stairs. Ham stops or comes around up top and tries to block him, right? Mm-hmm. And Captain Joke remembers the kid, remembers that he killed the kid's mother.
Projects thoughts into the kid's head briefly, which is just ignore it. It's an alternate universe. Keep going.
Yeah. And the kid's like, "I'm going to defeat you." And he says that I'm not in this for revenge. I'm here because my mom tried to protect this village from you, and I'm going to do that now too. So I think he like kind of calls out for help, and the shrine behind him glows, and then now there's like a image of his mother standing where he was standing.
Yep.
And Captain Joke freaks out. Ham stabs forward, and then we find out that Luffy, Nami, and Usopp must have managed to get up, and they kind of come up and hold him still.
Each of them grabbing a different limb. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's 3 of them, and there are 3 beasts, and they're all holding 3 limbs. Oh.
I think it would have been cooler if it had been... Anyways, we can talk about that in a moment. But yes, there's kind of parallelism there.
Yeah, and then so Ham stabs him through the skull, and Captain Joke, now dying, makes a statement that's like, "Oh, so you did find Nakama," which is friends,
yep.
Right? Okay.
That's a very special one-piece word that they use all the time.
Okay. He's like, you found friends. I wish I had something like that. And then he dies. Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Really.
Yeah, basically. I at the very end, so they leave on a flying ship. They put like extra sails on their ship and then fly out.
I guess there's a really strong updraft because the kid Ham was sending messages in a bottle out by parachute. So I guess they just got like a big parachute basically, and they were lifted out. But they won't be able to use it anywhere else because this is non-canon. They obviously they can't bring it back. Yeah,
and then the mountain kind of reseals itself, so the treasure disappeared. Like, I think Captain Joke shot at it, and then the light disappeared, so Nami was disappointed. But after everyone leaves, the light shows back up, and then you see the 3 beasts reappear in their kind of, staging area.
Mm-hmm. They have, cages, but without the bars, but they have, little homes that they sit in until someone wakes them up.
Yeah, so it's implied that it kind of, the mountain resets itself, which I guess kind of makes sense, because it was supposed to be, the power of a god there or something, mm-hmm. So...
I think they're obviously setting up for a sequel. I think Adventure in the Ocean's Naval 2 will feature Lil Buggy, okay, Captain Smoker of the Marines, and Hachi the Octopus Swordsman. forming an unlikely trio alliance, and each of them has to take on each of the 3 beasts, but the beasts are stronger this time. The crawdad has rocket launchers on its shoulder, and the pincushion, that's not what it's called. What am I? Sea urchin. The sea urchin has figured out, like, how to jump, and it can shoot exploding hairballs out of its mouth. And the final one was the octopus, which now has metal claws at the end of each of its tentacles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who was the middle one? So you had Lil Buggy,
and Captain Smoker, and the Hachi the Fishman Pirate.
Yeah, no, I think this is great because you can have Hachi fight the octopus. You can have Lil Buggy fight the sea urchin.
Oh, okay,
and
sure.
Then Smoker takes on the new rocket launcher mounted crawdaddy.
Yeah, that actually fits. That's kind of cool. I sort of just was making that on the fly, but yeah, okay.
Though Hachi might have an issue because he's like, brother, no.
He can speak octopus.
Yeah.
Okay.
What does octopus language sound like? Is it just like 888888?
Octo. All right, so I think that about does it for the summary. Do you think there's anything that we missed that you want to add?
Not really. I mentioned I wanted to come back to the skeleton thing, right?
Okay.
So the skull has a message written on the back, written by Captain Joker.
Uh-huh.
Captain Joke, you're right, not Captain Joker.
We haven't gotten to the DC Comics crossover special yet.
I think it was because we were talking about Smoker.
Oh, okay.
And so I just put Joke and Smoker and
okay.
Anyways, how it was his own skull.
Yeah.
Did his and his skeleton, like, he was already missing the limbs. How did he write a message on the back of his own skull?
Yep.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Why did he turn into a bat that could still talk? Why did his crew betray him? What was the actual treasure? What are the gods doing up there?
Why does he get his limbs back every time a monster is killed? None of it makes any sense, Joel. I need more explanation here.
They got their communication with the outside world was cut off 10 years ago for some reason, and the older sister character, whose name we can't remember, was saying, what if we get caught? By what? The giant crab monster? It doesn't matter what the giant crab monster catches you doing. It's still a giant crab monster.
There are many questions I have about this special. I think I'm overthinking it probably.
Okay. If you could be any animal that could talk, if you died and you could come back as any animal and you saw your memories and you could talk in Curtis' voice, what animal would you want to be?
I actually would want to be something that could fly.
Okay.
Like if you have to come back as an animal, being a ground-based animal again is just kind of like, what are you getting out of that? Do something new, man.
Imagine if he'd come back as like a vole and he's 50,000 feet under the sea level. He's like, I gotta get up there to get pirates to come down here to fight the beasts. How am I gonna do it with my little tiny vole hands?
Yeah. I think I would go for I'm debating between doing a bat again or maybe a flying squirrel. That'd be fun. I could glide.
You could catch the air currents out if you were in the same situation as Captain Joe.
Yeah. Or if I want to go for a bird. Because if I'm going for a bird, I'm probably... Well, I don't know if I want to be a bird of prey. That seems kind of lonely. I don't know, Joel. You.
I put you on the spot, and now you just don't know.
Yes.
I mean, my lame answer would probably be the first one that comes to mind is dog. Maybe sea otter. They seem really playful. That'd be kind of cool.
Sea otter is good. That's a good one.
We've decided we're team sea otter.
Yeah. So this is our new podcast where we just talk about animals that we really like and would like to be.
Welcome to Otter Space, a safe place for all otters. Also, we occasionally talk about going to the moon. That's an otter space. Okay. So now we have to go to today's sponsor. And would you tell us a little bit about this, Curtis? You were saying you were complaining about a previous product that we've pitched on the show?
Yeah. So we were talking about Snake Away last time, right?
Not last time. I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Well, so I've been using Snake Away, and it really cut down on the number of snakes I had. But I've noticed, as time's gone on, that more and more snakes have started showing up. And actually, when I use Snake Away, it causes more snakes to show up. I think they've gotten like addicted to Snake Away.
So it initially kind of helped with the problem, but now it's being less effective.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I called up Snake Away, and they told me, yeah, we've been hearing about this. We have a new product now.
Okay.
It's the Snake Away security system.
Okay.
Or SAS.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. So they asked us to pitch it on the show. So I told them, yeah, of course. I tried it first. It seems to work really well. What it does is that it alerts you when snakes are approaching the perimeter of your house.
Okay.
So you can go and like shoo them out, right?
I believe there's that, and I believe that there's different settings if you want to try to because if you mess with the environment, you're going to cause some bad problems. And so some people want to keep the snakes alive. Some of them are saying if they're coming into my house, they're going to get hurt. And so there's different levels of danger that you could present, I guess. So there's the one version, there's the non-lethal where it just alerts you, sends messages to your phone, says, hey, snake's incoming. But then there's like the high alert red system where it's just going to try to pump them full of anti-snake lasers.
Yeah, I think they use a concentrated version of Snake Away.
Okay.
So they couldn't sell it. They can't just give you a can of the concentrated Snake Away. It's just too dangerous.
Okay.
But what happens is the security official comes in and they refill your system as needed. And the security system is responsible for distributing it to the snakes. So that way there's no liability issues with them selling you this very dangerous substance of concentrated Snake Away.
Concentrated snake. Do not if it comes into contact with your eyes, immediately call the morgue and tell them that you're checking in, because that's the only thing that you can look forward to.
Yeah. So for all of you people out there having issues with snakes and who Snake Away, the original Snake Away, is not working for, be sure to invest in the new SAS system. It's time to get sassy with it.
Time to get sassy. All right, excellent. Now that we're done with the ad, what did you think of this special in general?
It was pretty good.
Okay.
Other than all the logical issues that I had with it.
Other than the part where you kind of think there for a moment. And I kind of get that a little bit, because One Piece is supposed to be a world where, like, the adventure is the fun, and not really knowing what's going on is kind of part of that.
Yeah.
At the same time, I just wish that they had given an explanation. Oh, by the way, the treasure's power secretly lets you survive death in some really weird way. And now that they'd killed him a second time, like, for real, it went back, maybe? That kind of makes sense, but I wish that they'd been explicit in that.
Yeah, like, I feel like One Piece, there's a lot of things that don't always make direct sense, but for the most part, it's there's some sort of explanation in the background, right? I mean, with some wiggle room. But this one was just like doesn't fit the overall logic of the world, and it's kind of confusing. The general idea, like the way the adventure works in this episode, it went pretty well. The plot was good.
Okay. I would be curious, and I might look it up in a second, but I'm curious how much input Oda had into this. Did he want to have a giant hole in the ocean in some other part of the story, and he didn't have time, kind of like how Daddy Masterson is technically filler, but not really? Or if this was just another team that was told, you're going to make a 50-minute special, go crazy with it. You can't have them outright decapitate someone. Like, here's your guidelines, but beyond that, go crazy with it. And they were like, well, let's make a crazy wild adventure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's probably what it was. I mean, that's probably the best way to describe it. It was a fun adventure with the One Piece crew, but it's obvious that it doesn't really have any real significance outside of like the self-contained episode.
Just kind of enjoying it. I would agree with that. That's pretty good. I myself have not actually seen most specials and movies, so this was my first time watching as well. I liked it all right. It followed the same formula as a lot of the early specials and movies. They meet a little kid who doesn't like pirates. They convince him that pirates are good. Now he's going to pursue his dreams. I did kind of like how they explicitly called out, oh, I wish I had had friends like that, because it makes him a little bit more of a tragic villain. He was a pirate. He wasn't a very good guy, but at the same time, he couldn't rely on his crew, and he had to manipulate other people into doing his bidding. But someone like Luffy, someone like Hamu, when he grows up, will probably be able to just get people to help them by being a better person or being more friendly or that sort of thing.
I think he would have been a more tragic villain if they had built it up a little bit more. Because, we saw in the prologue that his crew betrays him. But it's also, I don't know, there's no, like, significance behind it. Like, if we had seen, like, he was really a good person, but he got betrayed by bad friends and that, then, but that requires backstory and more build-up than I think they would want to put into one special.
Okay, I could see that. Maybe what they could have done is they could have had it so that he had certain high-ranking members in his crew. His pirate crew seemed to be bigger than Luffy's, which is only 5 of them. But maybe he could have had 3 commanders that were closer to him than anyone else, and maybe those 3 were the ones who betrayed him. And then maybe they could have been possessed by the evil energy of the treasure, and those could have been the 3 that Zoro, Sanji, Luffy, Usopp, and Nami had to take out. And while they were fighting, they could explain their ideology on why they betrayed Joke. That'd be kind of interesting. But then you get to the end of the movie, and why would Joke turn on them if he was a good guy? Also, I'm pretty sure that's Pirates of the Caribbean 1. That sounds very familiar as I'm saying it out loud, and I go, oh, that kind of happened.
Well, yeah, I think I like the idea of having, instead of the 3 monsters, having it be like 3 former crew members. And then you could build into it like something about that's why like some of his body parts show up. Like maybe they killed him and they went to take the treasure, but like because he had died in the room, he cursed them or something. So they got like tied together somehow. I think you could have done more with it. It's just, it seems like the tragic villain card just kind of thrown in there at the end, right? Just to make it feel a little more significant. And it was like, just stick with the light fun if you're going to have light fun.
The one thing I will say is I believe that it's always in there a little bit implicitly, since Luffy fights people who have different ideologies than him. Kuro couldn't handle the infamy that came with being a pirate, and Arlong felt he was racist against people and stuff, and he used underhanded tactics. Luffy wasn't like that at all. I think there's always an implicit undercurrent of their lives are changed slightly, or their defeat causes them to rethink things, even if they're not going to have a complete change of heart. So I think what I more meant was it was just interesting that they actually explicitly called it out, and I actually kind of like that a little bit better, just personally, because a lot of times I don't notice those parallels until I see someone else in some other social media say, did you notice that Arlong and Luffy are kind of opposites in this way?
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't mind them calling it out. I just feel like it could have been written a little better.
Could have fleshed it out a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive that the length and the amount of time they had to work on it was probably pretty big limitations on that. And they didn't want to do anything so crazy that people would watch this and then say, well, how come we don't have giant mecha crabs in the main series? That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Curtis, what do you think will happen in the next episode of One Piece?
Maybe they're going to find another hole in the bottom of the sea and adventure into that hole. I don't know, Joel.
And they keep finding a bunch of holes, and then the camera zooms out, and it's actually Braille that spells out something like, thanks for playing. We, the audience members, figure it out, but the crew members are obviously too stupid to realize.
Could you imagine if at the end of all of One Piece it zooms out and the islands actually form a message on the map? Like if you connect the dots of the path they traveled, it shows like a picture, and that is the One Piece. It's a treasure for us, the viewer.
That's actually really interesting. I don't know when the appropriate time to bring this up would be, so I'm going to bring it up now, I guess is what I was going to say. But because the show relies so much on the friendship angle, and Luffy makes friends along the way, and it's about the fun of adventure, and Luffy wants to be free, basically, from all of the things that might stop him from going on fun adventures. Some people have come up with maybe the One Piece is the fun friends you made along the way sort of thing. And someone eventually asked Oda, they said, is that going to be the end? Is it just going to be... And Oda responded with, it wouldn't make sense if you got to the end and they weren't rewarded for their hard work and the journey. It would feel like a cheap ending if it turned out. So there is actually something in the One Piece or at the One Piece, whatever the terminology is. We don't know what it is. He's not going to tell us, but there's something worthwhile and tangible there.
What if it's Gold Roger's heart?
His actual heart.
His actual heart.
It's been preserved inside of a pickle jar, and you can use it to animate any one statue. And it would have the personality of Gold Roger, but it would be just a rock dude or a rock woman.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, I completely buy that.
Or it's just meat.
Just a giant pile of meat.
It'd have to be jerky, because otherwise it probably would have gone bad by now.
Okay. 3 other people have actually gotten to the One Piece, and they've just passed it up, and they're like, don't tell anyone that the One Piece is here. It's pretty lame. But Luffy, when he finds it, he eats it all, and he dies the way that he lived, eating mountains of meat.
No, what happens is he eats so much meat, right? And he uses that protein
Sure.
to become strong enough to become king of the pirates.
Oh, okay. You're talking about a buff Luffy situation.
Buff Luffy. Yep.
Or... Nope, that's Buffy. That's that's a thing. It's a well-known pop icon sort of situation.
And that's where Buffy the Vampire Slayer starts.
She's Luffy after he'd eaten a bunch of meat. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. Okay, so is there anyone who particularly stuck out for MVP in this episode?
Not really. It was kind of a team effort.
Yeah, no one really had a great one-liner or anything like that. Sanji had a cool moment where he kicked the crawdad, but it was edited weird, so it showed the crawdad dying, and Zoro sheathing a sword and says, about time, and then it flashes back to Sanji getting the blow, and that's dumb. Just show Sanji running in and kicking it really hard. Yeah. That would have been cooler. The only really remarkable moment, I would say, was Luffy trying to hold back the pincushion and giving the message about, if you try to accomplish your dreams on your own, you put everything into it, you will naturally attract people who will help you. Yeah. Rather than sending message in a bottle friend requests up to the above world. Okay. Do you think the Ocean's Naval existed before? Like, do you think that people knew about this location, Captain Joke came to the location, or do you think Joke happened to fall down a hole and then they were like, hey, by the way, there's treasure up the mountain?
Well, I mean, there's a village there, and the village was there before Captain Joke showed up. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it would have had to be been a location already.
But was it known? Were there legends about the Ocean's Naval, or was Joke the first person to land there? Do you think?
I would assume he showed up on purpose, because I mean, otherwise, why would you go into it?
Right, why would you go into it? And why would you immediately go for the treasure if you didn't know there was treasure? And why would they tell you there was treasure? Mm-hmm. So that all makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think this special was filler?
I'm nodding slowly.
Yeah. All right. That about wraps it up for our regular discussion posts. However, since this is episode 25, I thought we could do a fun little exercise. I was going to save some of these questions for when we officially entered the red line, but 25 is fine, and... What?
Joel.
Yeah?
So, you can edit this out.
Sure.
This is episode 25.
Yeah.
It's also my brother's 25th birthday.
Oh, Illuminati confirmed.
Yeah. Happy birthday, brother.
Happy birthday, George. Yeah, having a good day.
This is obviously, if you don't cut this out, this is obviously being published after his birthday.
Nope. Time travel magic. I'm posting it right now. This is a live recording to celebrate our 25th special, or 25th episode.
Well, happy birthday, brother, if you are listening currently.
Put down your phone and interact with the real world, George. Okay.
I was trying not to use his name, but God.
I can bleep it out. Happy birthday! Okay.
I don't know if he cares.
Unless his real name is... then we have to edit in a fake name. Happy birthday, George. Okay. Episode 25.
Yes, sorry.
I want you... And please don't answer these sarcastically. We love to riff on each other, but we're being serious now.
Okay.
What would you say is your favorite moment of One Piece so far? Is there anything that stands out head and shoulders above the rest?
I'm gonna cheat. The walk to Arlong Park.
Okay. Wait. Hang on. My head hurts suddenly. I'm sensing something in the room. I must perform the ritual that changes every episode because I can't be darned to take notes. Baba baba baba, baba baba baba, baba 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 baba. Speak, apparition!
Hello, it's a ghost.
It's a cute ghost who's here to add commentary for episode 25.
25?
We talked previously about including her in the podcast for episode 25, and then we forgot that this was the 25th episode, so...
Good job, us. Yay!
What percentage of that special do you think you saw?
I would say like 50%.
Okay. What'd you think of it?
It was weird. It was weirder than normal One Piece, and I liked that a lot.
I just want to know why he was able to survive and turn into a bat.
I'm still upset. Like, where does all that water go?
How
does it get back up above?
They're actually, all the villagers are on top of these giant pumps, and they have to pump the water manually back up to the surface. It's like a filtration system.
I did think that the episode was... Every character was at their peak, so Luffy was peak Luffy, and Usopp was peak Usopp. It was very good in that regard. They were very exaggerated.
Okay. I will say that I was a little uncomfortable. I remember that Sanji would say stuff to Nami, and Nami would, like, punch him. I don't think she's ever done that in the series. I don't think she ever gets... he never says anything so... He never takes anything so far that she feels she has to, like, abuse him. She hits Luffy all the goddamn time.
I was gonna say, she hits Luffy constantly, but I feel like that's the only person she hits. Maybe Zoro.
Yeah, it's the two idiots on the crew. For the most part, Sanji acts like an idiot, but he's not entirely an idiot, I think.
Do we want to go back to what you were asking, Curtis?
Oh, yeah. I got distracted. But, so you liked Arlong Park as one of your favorite moments.
Yeah, I'm actually going to revise that now.
You're going to revise that.
Same arc, but the Bellamere backstory.
Okay.
I think that was the best. That whole, I think it was one episode, was great.
I don't know if I can pick necessarily a favorite moment. Shanks giving Luffy the hat is an iconic moment. I wouldn't count it as my personal favorite. I feel like that's a scene that becomes more powerful the more you watch the show and the more times it flashes back to it. So it's more the repetition than anything else. The walk to Arlong Park is absolutely fantastic. And I also love... when Luffy's fighting Kuro, and the Kuro's crewmates are like, yeah, Luffy, kick our captain's butt, and Luffy yells at them, don't cheer for someone other than your captain. I like that a lot. And Ghost co-host.
Yes, so my favorite moment so far is right after Zoro has been slashed by Mihawk.
Oh.
And he declares that he's going to be the world's greatest swordsman, and he asks if that's good enough for the future king of the pirates.
Mm-hmm. He makes the vow that he would never die again. These are technically two moments, but also when he's fighting Hachi and he goes, I made a promise. Not even death can take me, or can stop me before I get there.
Yes.
It's very impressive. Zoro is, I would probably say, one of the MVPs of this series so far. Luffy has his moments, but he has too many goofy moments, and it takes him too long to quote-unquote warm up to the idea of fighting a bad guy. Zoro is just 100% badass all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Curtis.
No, that's it. I wasn't going to say anything.
The thing I really appreciate about Zoro, and especially in that moment that I mentioned, is his undying loyalty to Luffy. And so right there, he's not only affirming, like, this is my own ambition, but can I use my ambition in service of yours? Because I think what you're doing is important.
Okay. You also made an observation to me off mic a while ago after we'd seen that episode. Do you remember what you'd said?
No, can you remind me?
Well, if I remind you, then I'm going to be the one saying it. If you had remembered, that would have been cool. But you pointed out, up until this point, Zoro has never seen Luffy lose in a battle. And so when Zoro has lost against Mihawk, yes, Mihawk is ungodly strong and no one really expects to win against him. The fact that he was the first one to take that loss out of the two of them probably deepened his respect for Luffy.
That's right. Yeah, I remember saying that now. Because, like, to him, Luffy is basically a god. Like, he just shows up places and he punches stuff and it works out for him.
Yeah, he's not the
stupid god.
Yeah, he's not the smartest guy. He can't do directions. He can't fish, cook, lie, or navigate, but somehow he pulls through, that son of a gun.
Yes.
Okay. The other thing that I wanted to ask, in the very first episode, I think, I asked if you thought that Luffy was worthy of being the Pirate King, or if he exemplified what it would mean to be that. Has he grown on you, and do you feel that he's acting more kingly these days?
That's a good question. I don't know that... I have a hard time thinking that I'm ever going to see Luffy as, like, a King of the Pirates figure.
Mm-hmm.
I think I could see his crew, like, as a whole...
being pretty badass.
I mean, I guess he's kind of the glue that holds them all together.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, yeah, I could see it. But he himself, I don't know. I guess he's motivating, and he's like an iconic figure amongst them. So I could see an argument for it, but just him by himself, I couldn't see it.
Okay. I would agree with that a bit. I think it's sort of, there are celebrities who act a certain way on screen or on stage, but then in their private lives, they're more human and that sort of thing. And we spend too much time with Luffy when he's not in full badass mode. I think eventually his reputation is going to be centered around all the victories that he's won, but they're not going to focus on the fact that he thinks that in order to find South, you go where it's warmer. And we've seen that side of him, so it's harder for us to say, oh man, what a badass. And he can take on any opponents. Catherine, do you have any thoughts about his
Luffy,
king-like qualities?
his kingliness. So I think that the series overall, a lot of the background characters and things like that, have given us the impression that King of the Pirates is a ridiculously high title to aspire to, and that it's something that will be very difficult to achieve, and only somebody who is really, really dedicated would be able to do it. And I think that Luffy has shown us his dedication. Once he has set himself on a course of action, he doesn't stop. And I think that really exemplifies what it means to be King of the Pirates, for me at least. So, to me, yeah, I'm like, go, Luffy.
One thing that I think the series could do a little bit is explore, and maybe this is a little too philosophical, maybe I'm looking for more meaning, but I would love it if we could explore what King of the Pirates means to different people. So far, we basically just have people who want treasure, like Buggy, and then Luffy. And Luffy's never put it into words where we are in the series what it means to be king. Shanks never explained what it means to be a pirate, and I wish that they made conversations like that a little bit more explicit. And maybe we'll get there someday. Maybe there'll be a villain that's like, you, King of the Pirates, you can't even eat raw ham!
I will say really quick, the closest we've come to what you're describing is Smoker discussing how Gold Roger carried himself on the way to his execution.
But is that describing what King of the Pirates is like, or is that describing what Roger was like? Because I know the two are kind of intertwined, but at the same time, you can have President George Washington of the United States and President Abraham Lincoln, and they probably weren't the same sort of person, but they had the same title and that sort of thing.
That's true. I think it's the closest we've come, though, to what you're describing, and I think that to Smoker, that was his defining moment for what the King of the Pirates is.
Sure. Curtis, any thoughts on that? Or have we wrapped it up?
I think we've wrapped it up.
Okay. And one more, and this is kind of a cheating question. Do you love One Piece yet? I know in the early episodes, you're saying that some of the episodes are kind of slow and oddly paced, and I agree they are a little weird to watch. But now that you've gotten through 5 arcs, I want to say, how are you feeling?
It's grown on me.
Hmm?
I wouldn't say I love it with the same fanaticism that you do.
I don't know you ever will. Catherine and I are very intense about the things that we love, and you get that a little bit too, but the things that you love are separate from the things that Catherine and I have fallen in love with traditionally, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, so you're not going to just up and quit on me. You're not going to go, I'm going to go start my own Boruto podcast.
Well, Joel, actually, I called you here today to tell you something.
That's time to record more episodes, clearly.
Yes, episodes of a Naruto podcast. I'm sorry, Joel. You had to find out this way.
Ninjas, really?
Yeah.
Sworn enemy of pirates.
Off-camera battle.
There we go. No, we should just visually describe, I'm throwing my left punch! Oh, but he dodged it slightly to do a real-time live reaction to our own fight where one of us is pretending to be a pirate, one of us is pretending to be a ninja. It'll be like those playground battles where, no, I'm a pirate with a laser shield! Well, I'm a ninja with an aerial satellite strike. Try to dodge this.
I do really want to ask, what do you think was the moment where One Piece really picked up for you?
It was the Arlong Park arc. It was the episode that I called out, the Bellemere backstory one. It's the one where it was officially more interesting than it had been. Loketown was a good arc too, I'd say. But like both of those arcs, like that's when it started getting better. I liked the Loketown arc because it was quicker.
Yep.
It was they didn't take as much time setting up there wasn't as much that happened there either, but they give you a lot of good information. They give you a good story and in fewer episodes than some of the other ones.
It was very concise, yeah. I was asking because I remember when I was first going through the One Piece anime, I got to about Arlong Park, and I remember thinking, wow, this is taking a long time. But I knew there was cool stuff coming because my then boyfriend, now husband, talked about it all of the time, and I'd seen a bunch of the really cool scenes, so I was waiting for those to happen. And then the walk to Arlong Park happened, and I was like, I'm sold, this is the coolest anime ever, let's keep going.
I have to tell the story so it's officially recorded on mic for future generations and such.
Okay, go for it.
When you and I started dating, we would show each other clips from shows that we liked that the other person hadn't seen. So you ended up seeing my 2 favorite episodes of Smallville, for example, and certain scenes from One Piece and that sort of thing. And eventually you started watching the show from the beginning, and I was showing you the coolest scenes from the entire series so far. And eventually we got to an arc where Zoro was fighting someone, or maybe it was Sanji, and you turned to me and you go, I know how this battle ends. And I went, what? And you said, yeah, look at the background. Those the orange bricks are only ever in the one scene that you've shown me, and the background, the house they're fighting in is orange. So I know this. And I was blown away by your devotion and your how much attention you paid, because there was literally a 3-year gap between when you saw the scene and when you watched it, and you still remembered. But also just mildly irritated, because a lot of things in One Piece are cool experiencing in the moment. If someone just came along and said, yeah, Luffy made Shanks in this place, and he gives the hat back and everyone's happy, it would ruin the feel of getting there yourself.
Well, and for me, I think that added to my enjoyment of the series, because I was like, oh man, I'm almost to this scene that my husband really liked. It's gonna be awesome. But I learned not to call those moments out because you got mad that I remembered.
All right. Curtis, you don't have to just go into deep description, but are there any scenes that stick in your mind that I've shown you or talked about specifically from the show?
I'm trying to think if I remember enough detail from them to give a decent description.
Okay.
I remember you showing me some of like Luffy's later abilities. Like in the
stretching
fights.
Even farther.
Yes.
And this is to stretch even further beyond.
I'm trying to think of what else. I've seen One Piece Film Gold, so that's later.
I think it would be fair to say that you're aware of most crew members that are going to join, even if you don't necessarily know perhaps their backstory or exactly how they fight or anything like that.
Yeah. Though I did, when Alvida showed back up, I got her mixed up with somebody who's a future crew member. And like, I remember more of the stories that you told about it, and I will say some of the things that you described, it made the universe sound a lot different than like what I've seen so far.
Yeah, in terms of world building and interconnectivity and the bigger story beyond just what Luffy is about, because there's a story about the shape of the world. And the figurative shape, not the literal, it's a round. But
take that back.
Those don't really start until Loketown is like the first time you get like even the smallest glimpse, and it takes a long time for that door to open any wider.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
All right, so I think that just about wraps it up. We're about close to the hour-long mark, and although we love to give people more content, it's also good to try to stay a little consistent. So I think it's about good to start signing off, unless you two have any more final thoughts.
No, I'm good.
I have only a single final thought.
Okay.
Why are there so many snakes in this gosh darn house?
Look, I'm trying to install the snake away security system. I'm trying to get as sassy as possible in here.
It's not working. There are too many snakes.
Oh no! I guess friendship really is magic. So ends the next leg of the King of the What Now adventure. We're sad to see you go, but we'll be here next week. If you crave some social interaction with us in the meantime, you can find us on all sorts of different media. We have Gmail, Patreon, and Tumblr. All of those are King of the What Pod. King of the What Pod at gmail.com, patreon.com/King of the What Pod, kingofthewhatpod.tumblr.com. Our Twitter handlers are a little bit different. You can reach me at KOTWN_pod.
And you can contact me, Curtis, at Pirate Co-host. Also, please take a moment to rate and review our podcast on whatever platform you're using to listen. Not only will this help others find the podcast, but your constructive feedback will help us improve the show as we go.
Thanks so much for giving us a listen. Until next time, follow your dreams and protect your treasure.
Remember, it doesn't need to be literal treasure.